Good morning. Good morning. All right. So straight up yesterday off of the low into the void. And now we see if it can get a little further or not at all. We discussed yesterday, impressive move, big bar, maybe head and shoulders, you know, maybe another bar up, straight up again. Can't count that out. For the moment, things are stalled here a little bit. So I think that's the scenario. We got to. This is not real. Right? I'd have to go look at SSO, but anyway, I was saying we got a real wide range bar now, big green bar, not a gap down type of a void. But you can see the similarities, and that why we look at them the same is that a gap like that is a void. There's nothing there, and a momentum move like this creates a void because there's no consolidation. And you can see it on the 15-minute. It just goes straight up. So getting below here, if buyers are going to show up again, they're going to have to create support because there's nothing to the left. These little clusters of opens and closes like that, they're minuscule, and you can't really look at those as to a significant point where traders are going to trade off of. But as it comes down there, if it does, can it form a higher low pivot? Or does it just go right back down to the lows again? So that's just the process that we'll follow intraday and daily and weekly and so on, to do the analysis is what's happening in multiple time frames. Hey, McGraw, I was looking for you before. The premiums are like kind of weird. There's like nothing there on what I'm seeing on mine. I went up to calls. I mean, 43.65. What did you have there? 43.10. I mean, that's 50 by 65. That's too damn close. Oh. 43 and 42.50. I got my head turned, so that's why it's quiet. I'm looking at this other screen. 42.50 is only 25 cents by 35 cents. That's too close. It's too close. Something different. Right? So let's go look at the futures here. It's coming up to resistance 43, 42.85. It's too damn close. Unless the futures, but still it's too close. There's nothing there. That if it pulled down to there, it wouldn't be a big deal. I hear you, but do you want to bet on that holding? I mean, I prefer to have a big open interest strike as a support point and then something else. I think that's too close for comfort. 42.75. 42.75. 60 by 80. Well, the premium not bad. It's just that what makes to think that it can't go down there. It's certainly not. It's certainly not a no-brainer. You got some support there. So, and it's a personal choice. I certainly rather see what it's going to do here, and then if it spikes up into this area, of course, the premium's not going to be there, but then maybe something below 4,300 as it creates the support. On top, I was thinking, okay, 4,400 up around there, somewhere in here, but there was no premium calls. Yeah, 43.65 or so. No way. As I'm looking at it, it's a pass. Going around. I just have to turn my head in YouTube this saying and going whatever. I guess because of the hearing, but anyway. 1 second. All right, so let's see where things are at here. Futures. So the Qs, they've been the strongest. Obviously, they broke support. You got a green day, reversal day yesterday. Really not a big deal. Could easily make a lower high. The big thing was interest rates giving a reprieve with the turn yesterday. They were down a bunch. They were close to this support level as they poked down into it, and they came back up. So now as they come up into this resistance, approaching back under the 200 and this pivot, the sellers come in and knock it back down again. So this has been the intermarket relationship to keep an eye on. And just looking at the bonds, poking up there, and it looks different than the interest rates, but this is the 10-year. It's in an uptrend, topping tail, pulling a little bit. So, just the way, we said the markets aren't going to like yields dropping. Well, then this is a good thing, right? As it starts going up. So the markets like that. In addition, with all the big tech earnings coming out next week, kind of leads me to think anyway that we're going to be stuck in a bit of a range here. It seems unlikely that the markets are going to, make a big move from here with all those earnings coming out. But we'll see. The way this looks now, this is just a normal type of a reversal bar after a move down, but it violated the support point. Didn't violate that badly. So, back to the idea of the wide range bar that I was going here with the S&Ps is that, most of the time you're going to get a narrow range day. And that could have been yesterday, but, it was the void, the gap, rallied back up. And so that's impressive that it was able to regain 100% of that big bar, but it's a starting point. I like to say, this is where the heavy lifting begins, where it's closed the void. What are you going to do? And so as it comes into here, well, you got a larger congestion area, and we've got the Qs already. All right, this phone. Already double topping here under this resistance. So a little relative weakness. And this came off of the low nicely. It's still grinding up there. It's up near this pivot high. And this is a great example of the weakest being the outperformer, because it fell the most, and it fell, looking to the left, right into an area of support there. Then I guess, Glenn, and YouTube, you got in here a little late, Glenn, so it's going on your permanent record, but I spoke about SPX already. From my point of view, there isn't enough premium there to be considering that unless you're really, I guess, got a cast iron stomach and adventurous. But I'd wait for things to kind of move around because you got to get pretty close, and there isn't a lot of defenders on either side of where the premium is on for those strikes. So this is coming up into resistance, bouncing up there. And this could keep going. As I look at this, I think it seems unlikely just because of the way it came down. You can see the measure type of move right down to the bottom of the support here. But there isn't a lot to stop it unless it just stops here. And it can keep trending up. It can go a bit higher. Yeah. We looked at bonds, oil. That got clobbered. And this is more of the norm, as if this was an actually closed bar. And it's not, it's just today. But this is more of the norm of what you would see after a downdraft. Now, this broke below multiple pivot lows. That's much more serious than what we saw in the S&Ps and the Qs, which just slightly, broke down below the first pivot low. And this one broke and immediately came back. So that was the beginning of the trouble, the way we view trend analysis, which is done without the moving averages, is done without trend lines, fib lines, VWAP, so on and so forth. So this is the shot across the bow. Warning, something's wrong here. It violated the uptrend, still in an uptrend on the weekly, but this is where things begin to start to go wrong or reverse. And then that did retrace relatively deeply into there, but it's a big topping tail. And this little mini breakout and then failed. And the rest of the markets went down, transport, so on and so forth. But what I'm explaining to you is the simplicity of the analysis of MTS for trend analysis. Is it making higher highs and higher lows? Yes. Now it's not. What preceded it? How did it come down? Big range expansion topping tail bar. The depth of retracement is one in which suggests possibly a trading range. That didn't happen. Down, and it comes down to this next support, now lower high, and so on until this weekly chart, being it as it is in an uptrend, can this daily chart begin to form a bottoming type of a pattern? So we have to wait. Lower high uptrend challenge. Well, it's not an uptrend anymore. Right. So now, based on my rules, which Tony, they're my rules, meaning by that, this is not a downtrend yet defined by lower highs and lower lows, but viewing how many charts I viewed, thousands, I guess, and coming up with some rules that I look at as just being common sense. And the rule is if it comes down and breaks through 2 or more pivot lows, view it as a downtrend. And that's it. Now, going back to the S&Ps, or spiders, it's all the same thing. It was in an uptrend, had a nice momentum move up. And after the turn, it should have gotten higher or gone sideways, but it broke the uptrend. So this is no longer in an uptrend, black and white. Now, if it goes back up again and does some craziness like that and makes a new high, this becomes our new reference point of major support. Again, it's crazy. It's schizo. And, going back and looking at, the Dow, that's crazy price action, breaking pivot lows. Well, this is not that bad. It made a retest and turned back up again. but then it comes up here and double tops and breaks the pivot lows again. And then it retraces all the way back up 100% and breaks the pivot low again. I mean, that's why, when we review this chart every week on the weekends in the advisory letter, I titled it, "This is a mess." And, but it's a true representation of what this market is like. Right? Look at the mid caps, look at the NYSE. They look like this. But you go and look at, Apple and Facebook and the Qs, and, it's a tale of two markets, as I coined it several weeks ago. And so recognizing that, you just have to know what you're dealing with. That's the bottom line. You have to know what you're dealing with and accept it. All right. Gold, couldn't get through the converging moving averages. You got to turn there, whatever you call it, green, stall, down, retraced 100%. And it's a little topping pattern reversal there. We'll see where it goes. Silver, that broke down. That's weak, obviously. And transports, they bounced yesterday. Really looks like the interest rate chart. And why we've been talking about, if this economy is so wonderful, unbelievable numbers, so on and so forth. And why are the transports going down? And why are interest rates going down? I keep losing track of my spot here. It looks like the transports. And so when you see the 10-year going down and the 30-year going down and transports going down, it doesn't click that the economy is doing so great. Because otherwise they wouldn't be going down. Now this Corona thing rising its head, and so who knows? Sometimes markets are so clear, and other times, the crystal ball gets real cloudy. Now, Bitcoin is looking pretty interesting here. I spoke to Dan, and Dan already was on top of it. Coin starting to make a turn, and there we go. You can see the bottoming action, and it's real clear on the weekly. Pivot low, pivot low. Can it make a higher low here? Getting this green bar. We'll see if this is green. At the end of the day, it's got resistance there. But if this is a green bar, that is the beginnings of a turn, and worthy of a consideration of a small position. So looking at coin and possibly Riot and the typical suspects, they should be on the radar today. This thing here, no, I don't care for that. And I was thinking anything else? I don't think so. VIX, that reverse back down. Here. Yeah, couldn't get all the way up to that pivot high. So, and this is just another piece of information that is suggestive of markets marking time. It had the big down move. There was yesterday's, reversal back up again. Damage done. Does it repair the damage, or do we chop around until earnings come out next week and new highs or new lows? So dollar, I got this cough going on here. Dollar has been real strong. the euro is down here at this major support point. So, being down here, and it hasn't been able to make any turn. So this is where, you think the dollar will pull back. You're going to want to see the euro make a big wide range bar off of this low, where buyers should step up to the plate here. There's the ETF for the dollar. It's just been moving up there, and you can see it's coming up to this pivot high. So different markets at different reference points. Well, yours, Dan.
All righty. Good morning. Yeah, I was talking about that Bitcoin. Today's MT Live is on breakout and breakdown failures. So I think that'll be a good one to talk about also. We're very light on inventory. So the things we're in are fine. Tesla moving up, had a put spread on that. Q's weaker, obviously. Diamonds here at the pre-market highs. Look at that drifting up. And that's a very, very bullish 15-minute chart. Wow. RB's asking about Square. I'm not sure what shock you're talking about. So I mean, the story of the day yesterday was just day trade long, anything. I mean, so many things, where I use the term, it's just swimming upstream, but you had a price for it. I mean, look at this junky cruise ship. Look at RCL. I gave that over a 15-minute high, and it just powered. So from 69 to 76, that's a huge bounce. Jets, another junk sector. Gave that yesterday, 15-minute high. That's still plowing. UAL had earnings up. So it's the same problem as yesterday. It's a bullish 15-minute chart, but it's actually harder today because now we're deeper into resistance in a downtrend. And that's why we did not get many trades yesterday. But with Bitcoin up, I did post Riot as a put spread. These things were getting climactic, but we have a bottoming tail finally over there. Mara, we always look at very similar. Let's look at the juice on Mara too. That's holding well. I'm going to put that in a window. Mara, Riot, Coin, also the exchange. I looked pre-market, and the 212s $10 wide was only 60 cents. Obviously it'll be a lot less than that on the gap up, but well, this is a second retest of this IPO lows. So, we'll see. It's worth watching. Ether, nice gap up. Block is an ETF. Not much volume, 4250 gap and resistance, but same kind of thing. Let's see if we can do a put spread and Block. Let's see, NDAQ. There's a bunch of earnings. I went through and pruned them a little bit, but NDAC had a beautiful close yesterday. NASDAQ, that's a nice close. Daily, weekly, all-time highs. I only see one print up here at 183, so I don't trust that. So we'll wait for the open, but that's 30-minute high and or put spread dunking. I think I mentioned yesterday, gap reversal and support, and it's holding very well pre-market. That's a beautiful pre-market. Let's watch that for a day trade. Meds here. Meds is remember we did the MT Live called Making the Turn, TURN. And this is a great example. It's making the turn here at the 20 and minor support. So this would have been a good long. Today's Wednesday over Monday's high. But now it's gapping over it. It's gapping way the heck up here. So that's messing up the low risk entry. But it's worth watching. This up, my friend of mine, who I saw last night, he owns a NetJet. And he just says he told me he bought 10,000 shares of this. And then so I looked at the puts and I just sent him an email this morning. I'm like, hey, Mike, if you're bullish on this thing, you can sell the $10 puts for $1. And I explained to him what that meant. It means you sell 100 lot and you either got 10 grand in your pocket or you own UP at $9 a share cost basis. And so I think I piqued his interest in that, but I'll watch it too. That's very good juice. $1. You all remember my rule, just rough rule of thumb on selling naked. I want 1%, that would be a dime. This is $1. That's massive. That's 10% return. 10%, just as long as it stays above $10. XM, these are all earning stocks here. Up a couple bars at resistance, no interest. AVT, I don't see the gap. Netflix, it was all over the place last night. Now it's down. I read in the paper today they lost 400,000 subscribers. I don't know what percent that is, but I love trading options or day trading, earning stocks. So I have absolutely no idea which way this is going to bounce. So I'm not going to even worry about it. We'll watch it for 30 minutes. Russia. Bullish bar would be a fantastic 1, 2, 3. ABT. Oh, we got to come back to that. Netflix, we mentioned UAL, we mentioned gapping up, but no pattern. SNBR, nasty gap. Nasty gap right there to the bottom of the range. 30-minute low. This thing could easily fall $10. Let's watch that. STX did have a bullish gap. Look, this morning, STX, I was watching this as a put spread, but now I gave it up. So now I have no interest in that. No interest in STX anymore. Lima Echo, that's a bullish gap. That's worth watching. I'll put that here in this window since I'm done with STX, CMG. You all know how I often ask you, what is the most no-brainer entry that your eye saw as soon as I pulled this chart up? We don't have time to get into it now, but I'll just tell you mine. Bottoming pattern, retest, gap up, bottoming tail on support at the 200. Look at that breakout right there on 621. Price void. I mean, look at this thing, gap into all-time highs. Corona, no Corona, who cares? Tick 1200. It's amazing. It's just these rallies from Corona is just mind-boggling to me. So NDAC 30-minute high, I mentioned already. That's a beautiful. If it's were to close right here, that is a beautiful, beautiful 1, 2, 3. Riot here, Riot moving up. That's a good day trade. I just don't like trading 1 minute. I don't trade in the first 5 minutes of the day. But so far, that looks great. I gave this as a put spread. With that, I just gave it as a raw put spread, not even waiting, 5-minute high or 30-minute high, this and that. That's what I posted pre-market. Closed at 37. You know, I think the only way we're going to get filled is on a pullback. But let's look at Mara also. Oliver MTSL. No pattern. You got two inside bars. There's nothing to do. May if you know day trade over this pivot, $5.12. You can buy it, and it could be the start of a swing. I don't know. Wow, this DX got whacked down 450 now. NTRS, see, gap in the resistance. LVS earnings, but we gave win yesterday. It was better than LVS. See, gap and snap. It was a 1, 2, 3 yesterday morning when I mentioned it, when it took out the 15-minute high. So that was a nice trade.